friends, first of all, I must congratulate all of you. Prakash and all the teachers who have assembled here, that you have done a marvelously good job. And when I say you, I mean the tribe to which you belong, the teachers. If India has a position of eminence today, it is not because of any riches, not because of any mineral resources and anything else, but because of its educated people. Today in America or in Europe or elsewhere, if we are respected because of our boys and girls who have been taught by you and colleagues like yours. My son, who had his education in America, was telling me that, Papa, you will be surprised to know that most of the boys who come from India, they come from small schools and colleges of which you are not aware in India itself. It really means that you and your colleagues and your friends who are in this particular profession are raising the level of India from the place where India is born and where the destiny of India is. So therefore, I know that we have got the problem of illiteracy. I know there are many hundreds of boys and girls who don't have access to education. But in spite of that, what we have achieved, what you have achieved, we should be proud of. But certainly we cannot remain contented with what we have achieved. We have got to go beyond this. I thank Prakash for giving me this occasion to speak to you, because this is an occasion not only to praise Radhakrishnan, the great man who brought laurels to our country and who really introduced gods to the godless West at a point of time when one wondered as to where humanity was going. Surely he was a great teacher, a great philosopher, a great writer, a great orator. Anything great can be easily attributed to him, not as a part of oratory, but as an expression of truth. So we are happy that today we are celebrating his birthday also. The Teachers' Day, as I said, gives me an occasion to share some of my views with you. I am not as learned as Mrs. Duggal, much less Prasanna and others. But then, having been exposed to several aspects of life, there are certain things which I think I have picked up, which I would like to share with you. Everybody knows that education is the real basis of the development of any country or any people. As the saying goes, that behind every civilization, there is a school or a monastery or a university which brings the civilization to its height. And everywhere where the civilization has failed and crumbled and got crushed, you will find behind those failing civilizations and countries, there is lack of education. There is barbaric effort to destroy the colleges, libraries, and universities. So it is clear, I don't have to say this one. We all know it, that education is the key to the development of the people, and the creation of civilization is based on it. We also know that the teacher is fundamentally the person who makes the institution get the name, the fame, the position that it acquires. Take away the teachers from a university, it's only a facade of buildings that you have got, or the open ground that you have got. But that burning sensation which makes people move and inspire them to achieve certain things would be missing. India's history is full of one fact, that wherever there was a Mahatma or a Rama or what you call the great leaders of thought were born, that is the period of significance in India. India is not known for winning wars or losing wars or anything of that type. India might have given the Kohinoor, but it's not that particular part of the jewelry which brightens or sparkles our history. It is the university like Nalanda, which is in the 3rd century was established in India and attracted as many as 10,000 people from different parts of the world, especially from the East, to India as such. Today we talk of globalization. Today we talk of opening our doors and windows to the outsiders or this thing or the other. But we had achieved it much earlier. We had the concept that the whole world is our family, Kutumbam. That was what it was there. And you find that we succeeded, it is because we had understood the mode and the form of giving education to the people. There are many ways, many forms, many methods through which a teacher can educate others. But in India, if you really want to understand as to what should be the mode of teaching, which can bring learning and the knowledge and the wisdom to the people of this particular country, you have to think in terms of Saraswati. You have seen the image of Saraswati, the statue of Saraswati. She is the embodiment of education. And what is it that she is trying to convey to you? She has got 4 hands. In one hand she has got the Pustak, that is the book of knowledge, the sacred books, whatever you might call it. And the idea she is conveying is that you have got to read these particular books. You have got to get into the soul and the spirit of these particular books if you want to be an educated man and you want to achieve something. In the second hand she has got the rosary, the beads. What is that conveying? It's conveying the idea that mere reading of the books might make you a bookworm, but it is repeatedly understanding what is written in that particular book. It is evaluation of those particular ideas which are incorporated in that particular book, which is necessary to be understood. Books are necessary. Reading of those scriptures are necessary. But the mode of education remains incomplete unless the bead and the ideas associated with it are grasped. And then the other 2 hands, they are carrying veena, a beautiful musical instrument. What is it conveying? It is saying you may read the books. You may repeatedly repeat it and understand that particular thing. But unless you have got the art of communication to convert it into the music to the ears of the others, it's of no use. The communication part and the things which were said to you this morning, elaborated by Prasanna later, convey that particular idea that the communication and the music, the art of pleasure which is involved in it, has got to be understood. Yet one more thing, that the vehicle of travel of Saraswati is swan. And in our mythology, this particular bird has got the facility of separating milk from water. That is, if you do not develop the art of discrimination, if you just understand and pass on the things, you may commit a mistake. Develop that art of what you call discrimination between the good and the bad, the virtuous and the evil, the right and the wrong. Then only you will be able to be considered an educated person and capable of conveying the messages which are enshrined and treasured in the books to others. The first idea is vichar, think. The second is vivek, that is understand and discriminate. And the third is vihar. Let your conduct be guided by those two particular things. Then only you can move ahead. And it is this particular thing which is symbolized in Saraswati, in most of the colleges and maybe in your college also. When one enters that particular college, you see this particular statue of Saraswati. For the teachers, it is extremely necessary to understand and grasp this particular thing and to move forward. Sometimes I wonder that if we have the source of knowledge within our grasp, if we have access to these particular scriptures and others which contain the truth, then how is it that we are faltering today? There is an element of illegitimacy which is associated with our educated people today. There is a feeling of no confidence against some of our universities and the degrees which it is given. There is something, some irritation somewhere that in spite of all our education, we have not behaved like an educated man. How is it that with this burst of knowledge all over, we are behaving more vigorously than we had ever done before? How is it that we have become the killers of our own people? How is it that we are succumbing to corrupt practices which I know are corrupt and are not desirable at all? There must be something wrong somewhere, that our own society is getting crucified by us. How long are we going to crucify a Christ in order to understand the truth? How many times will we have to kill a Gandhi to understand as to what the truth means? Something there to ponder about and search. Perhaps we have started thinking that we have access to all the knowledge that we needed. India has got every right to feel proud of the philosophies which have been accumulated in this country. As a matter of fact, the story goes that when Alexander the Great was marching toward the east, he asked his master Aristotle that I am going to the east, what do I bring from there? Aristotle said, get me a philosopher from India. Look at the times which were there. Look at the men that Aristotle was. Look at the great warrior that Alexander was. And they were all pining to get a philosopher from India. The land of philosophy and knowledge. The land of truth, which said, lead me from darkness to truth. Lead me from untruth to truth. Lead me onwards so that I may see the right path. How could that go wrong? Perhaps we'll have to surrender this particular idea which is described in the Greek word hubris. We have, I think, built a certain hubris in us. Not pride, I will call it the vanity, I would say, that we know everything. We do not know everything. You will have to tell these young boys and girls who come to you that yes, we know truth, but that's not the end of truth, which is to be respected or done. A continuous search, a continuous experiment with truth have got to go on, otherwise you can't achieve it. The story goes that when Buddha was dying, his disciples gathered round him. And one of the disciples said that, "Oh Master, when you will not be here, who will be guiding us?" The other disciple said that Buddha's words are with us, that will be our guide. When Buddha listens to that, he opens his eyes, stretches his hand, picks up all the leaves which have fallen under the tree, and asked his disciples, "Have I collected all the leaves which are there on the ground?" They said, "No, Master, there is much more which is still to be collected." Buddha said, "I might have given you knowledge, but that's not the end of it. There is much more that you will have got to collect and find. And this is a continuing process which we have got to believe in. Your children who will become the adults tomorrow, the main actors tomorrow, must understand this one. That India is great, no doubt. We are all proud of it. The treasure of knowledge is untraceable, I would say. But in spite of that, there is much more we have got to learn. Inculcate that sense of modesty in them. Then there is yet one more feeling which creates problems, the blind belief. You see, we start our lives with certain ideas which have been given to us. We don't question them. May it be a religious idea, a philosophical idea, or an idea relating to politics or economics. We don't raise any questions about it. And especially the beliefs relating to faith, relating to religion. The blind beliefs are causing great harm to the country. Inculcate the idea of thoughtfulness among the people. From the very young age, a man has got to understand the other person's feelings, as he was talking about. The truth on the other side has got to be understood. Otherwise, we will be creating a problem for ourselves. Pause and think. The teacher, the master, the parents, we respect them and we should respect them. But then blindly following them is not correct. In a penultimate stanza in Gita, Krishna says, "O Arjuna, I have given you all the knowledge you needed. O Arjuna, I have cleared all the doubts which you had in your mind. O Arjuna, I have appeared before you in the form in which nobody else has ever seen me. Now that I have given you knowledge, pause, think over it, and proceed as you think to be correct." That is the beauty of converting knowledge into practice. That even if knowledge is given by Krishna, you have got every right to think over it again and see whether it can be your truth also, and can you move ahead. There is a very moving story of Eichmann of Germany, which one must really try to understand and learn from it. Eichmann was one of the finest persons, professionals that Hitler had. He was a great architect. He was a great musician. He was a great man giving ideas about new armaments to be created and innovated. But then he committed horrible crimes against the Jews. And when he was caught and brought before the court in Nuremberg, the judge said that, Eichmann, I have gone through your dossier. You were a good man in the sense that you were a good professional. You were a good man in the sense that you were a great musician. You were a good man in the sense that you innovated ideas. But tell me one thing. Why were you so wicked as to kill the Jews in the merciless manner that you have done? Why is it that you have pulled their skins out and made shoes and lampposts out of that? He said that if you were not an educated man, if you were a bad man by reputation, the judge said, I could have taken a sympathetic view of you, but not any longer after seeing your dossier. Explain it to me as to how an educated person like you could behave in this beastly manner that you did. Eichmann asked for a night to deliberate over it. He does it. Next day he comes to the court and says, My Lord, execute me immediately. I can't face myself even in the mirror. I don't want my face to be seen by anybody. Execute me. The judge said, that you are going to do, Eichmann. You don't have to tell us about it. But tell us the reason as to why you did this. Eichmann said, My Lord, I thought over it and I came to this conclusion that I blindly believe the prejudices which were spread by my parents against the Jews. They were his parents. They were spreading prejudices. They were spreading lies. And Eichmann's fault was that he did not question them. Create the habit of questioning amongst the boys and the girls. Give them this particular feeling that whether it is your father, your mother, your parents, your teacher, your leader, your next this thing or the other, if they ask you to do a certain thing and ask you to believe in the name of religion and others, you will question it and try to understand it. And when you question that particular thing, you are not in any way disobeying or being disloyal to anybody. When I say question your teacher, I am not saying be disobedient to the teachers. But what I am saying is try to find out as to what is correct. In 1930s, there was an earthquake in Patna, and Mahatma Gandhi Bapu gave a statement saying that this is the curse and the God has punished us for being bad to Harijans. Those days the term Dalit was not being used. Tagore reads that statement, gets furious over it, and he says that what is Gandhi talking about it? How can God be punishing the poor people for the mistakes of the rich and say that the earthquake is a punishment to correct the things? He writes an article against Gandhi in the Statesman newspaper. Gandhiji reads it. Next day he goes to Tagore's house in Vidyaniketan, knocks at the door. Tagore opens the door and sees Gandhi. He said, it's a great blessing that you have come to my house. Gandhi said that I have come not to bless you or to do anything, but I want to discuss with you the fact that you have made such severe statement against my statement. Tagore said, yes, because you are in the wrong. Gandhi and Tagore, the whole day talk and discuss about that particular matter. One tries to prove to the other that he is right and the other person is in the wrong, but they are not able to convince each other. as the sun starts setting and the evening is getting dark, Gandhi leaves Tagore. Tagore then again thinks over what he had told Gandhi. And next day he writes a letter to Gandhiji in which he says that Bapu, you came to my house, it was a great blessing, but I did not agree with you. After you left, I again thought over it, and I could not agree with you. He said, I had a very disturbed slumber the whole night. Thinking over it, I could not agree with you. He said, even now when I am posting this letter to you, I again paused and tried to think whether I am in the wrong. He said, Gandhi, I still think that you are in the wrong. But let me tell you that when you left my house, I saw the footprints of God on the floor of my house. Meaning that by your divine presence is acceptable to me. I can see the marks of divinity in your presence and in your absence. But I am not prepared to accept what you said about the earthquake. Here again you see as to how that man is an admirer of Gandhi. That man respects and calls him Mahatma. He was the man who gave that particular title in a way to him, and yet is not prepared to accept what is wrong. I think we should learn to do that. Without being irrespectable, without being disobedient, without being a cheat, you can still be correct and have your word. That is what is absolutely necessary to be taught. Because education, you can give the perfect art of living to a man. You can give him the ideas as to how good you can be a professional. But life is more than those 8 or 10 hours that you spend in your office or your school or anywhere else. Are we preparing our children for those hours also which are outside the profession and other things? The sense of beauty, the sense of culture, the sense of aesthetics. These are the things which are there to be filled in the life, to make life complete. Extremely necessary. The idea that education should be able to get you the jobs is correct. Nobody can deny it. Anybody who goes through education certainly is wanting not to live like a beggar but like a man in a good state of economy. But then with that the whole thing is not finished. The love, the truth, the beauty, these are the things which combine together with your professional knowledge to make life complete. Child has got an inherent interest in these particular things. A child loves the mother and loves to be the loved. A child loves the beauty and wants to possess the beautiful things. A child also wants like to be happy and running around, which he should do it with good habits and good ideas. He must have that freedom completely to enjoy, to understand and to appreciate these things which are more than what the profession prescribes. Freedom certainly does not mean lawlessness. As I put it and I was telling Prasanna, that Gandhi said break laws, but don't be lawless. The discipline is a very important thing, and without that freedom is not complete. You can imagine discipline without freedom, but you cannot imagine freedom without discipline. So I am not suggesting that you make the life so free that it becomes an indiscipline. Certainly not. It should be there. My last point which I want to leave behind is that love for one's own country has got to be there. It has got to be inculcated in the child from the beginning. That why am I proud to be an Indian? What makes me an Indian? Gandhi told Nehru when he returned from England that Nehru, you have seen the majesty of Himalayas. You have seen the soothing effect of the flowing Ganges. You have seen the beauty of the flowers and the gardens. But you have still to see what India is. And this India can be seen only and understood when you go to the villages, when you mix with the rural people as such. Nehru does it. And Nehru recognizes this art of knowing as to what India is. I would very much like this idea and this thought of being an Indian to be also inculcated. Because believe me, a person cannot be any great if his country is not great. Today you see the Russians and other Soviets, they are still very good mathematicians, chemists, chemical sciences and others are very well known to them. And yet they have lost that glamour and respect which they had earlier because Russia has come down. Britain, which used to rule the waves, is no longer that great because it has lost that greatness which is associated with the country. It is the country and the nation, when you make it great, you yourself get elevated from it and then you understand it. And to understand India, you must also understand the miserable, the poor, the dejected, the worried in this particular country. You see, 1947, 48, 50, these are very important years in India's history of independence. Gandhi and Nehru, Gandhi and Patel were in Delhi organizing the celebrations of the Independence Day. And that was the time when Gandhi was in Navakhali, where hundreds and thousands of people were getting massacred. Patel and Nehru, they sent an envoy to Gandhi and say that, Bapu, you must come to Delhi because you are the fountainhead. You are the creator of independence of this country. We want you here. Gandhi listens to this envoy, reads the note which Nehru and Patel had written to him and says, how stupid of them to ask me to come to Delhi at a time when hundreds of people are dying in a miserable way in Navakhali. And as the envoy was leaving, a leaf falls from the tree under which they were standing. Gandhi bows down, picks up that leaf and gives it to the envoy and says that give this leaf to Nehru and Patel and tell them this is all that a poor man can send you on this occasion. A tear drops from the eye of the envoy on the leaf. Gandhi looks at it and says that God does not want me to send a dry leaf. It has wetted it with my tears. That's the way in which you see you have got to think in terms of even independence and the greatness of this particular country. That you cannot forget the poor, the wretched, who are equal partners of yours in this particular country. Because it is they, as Tagore said, that if you don't take care of them, they'll drag you down to their particular level and finish you off. The last thing which I will say would be, ignite, as they said, an urge in the children, a dream in their minds, and a vision with which they can go forward. Because a country which cannot give dreams to its children, a country which cannot give vision, as she said to her people, they get blinded and they can't go forward. And in this particular aspect, each one of you will have to find, each one of the child will have to find his own way of dreaming and the contents of that particular dream. As there is a saying in the Spanish which says, they told traveler, what are you looking for? There is no road in this forest, but as you walk, the road will be formed. So we have to walk, and we have to have that particular confidence in ourselves, in our country, in our people, and you will see that we will be stronger than the steel which makes and tests the people. But the steel also rusts. Prevent the rusting to take place and take the right road in this particular regard. I always end, and I'll end it today also, by reciting that famous hymn which Gandhi always recited. Lead, kindly light, amidst the encircling gloom, lead thou me on. I do not wish to see the distant scene. One step is enough for me. Let's take that step. Thank you.